Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to the session. I'm glad you're here. In this session, we are discussing the topic of maximize your impact as a best-selling author. And for those of you who don't know me, my name is Kathy Dirksen. My company is called Inspired Tenacity. And to date, I have now been a best-selling author in 15 different compilation books, so multi-author book projects. And so I have worked with 9 different publishing groups. I've written on many different themes. And so I've definitely got a lot of experience when it comes to working on creating and building multi-author book projects. So that's a big part of where my experience is. And of course, after being in this publishing industry for the last 5 years, I have a wide range of my network in publishers, editors, and other people that support like that. So I love helping people to step into the opportunity of being a published author. So let's get started here, and I'll give you some examples of how this could really work for you. Here are some of the examples of the books that I've been in so far. I do need to update this as I've added a couple more since this. So it gives you kind of an example of the different projects I've been in. I've worked with many different groups, and yes, hitting international #1 bestseller is something that we do with all of our projects now, so it's always fun. And so here, basically what we'll do an overview with, we will look at the value of being a published author. We'll look at comparing solo books versus doing an anthology, which is a multi-author book project, and looking at some of the opportunities that are created by being in any of this kind of book. And then looking at more ways of how do you personalize the visibility that you're creating as an author. And first looking at the value of being a published author, that just being able to say on your profiles and on the different events that you do that you are a published author gives a lot of value to what you do. But then being able to say that you're a best-selling author or an international best-selling author automatically gives you a different level of credibility in really any community that you are presenting in or stepping into as a network. So right off the bat, you've got a major value right there. It helps you to stand out from your competition, because if someone is comparing your services versus somebody else's services and they're very similar, the fact that you're an author and the other person perhaps isn't, again, gives that level of credibility and authority in your field. It helps you to build your business because you're able to now use the book to be expanding your network, reaching into different communities, finding different speaking opportunities. So there's several different ways that just by being a published author, you're able to build your business and expand what you're doing already. There's a lot of different kinds of values, again, that come with this. And the global network is one of the things that I love to focus on, is that, quite often when we start our businesses, we start really kind of playing small and thinking small, but I really want you to look at the whole world as your potential market. And having a book that's now available in all these different areas really helps you do that. Builds your authority, your credibility, and really just the activity that comes around publishing and getting into different circles with speaking really does build that visibility as well. Some of the different opportunities that you might find created from being a published author would, of course, become more publishing opportunities, as like I've mentioned. So I've now been part of 15 different books, work with many different publishing communities. Now that's the main focus of what I do in my business, is creating multi-author books. I always have different books coming up with different themes, focus on different markets, different ideas. Some of the books that I've done so far have included titles like Embrace Courage, Midlife Awakening, Ripple Effect of Impact. Some of the new ones that we're just finishing up right now include titles like Passion, Purpose, and Possibilities, 20 Shades of Grief, Midlife Reimagined. So again, you see that the titles and the opportunities can be very broad, but really apply to so many different people. So it's what I've found as well, is that by being a published author, I am being invited into different communities as a speaker to speak on the topics that I write about, to speak on other themes that I present about. And you'll find that just by being that published author, that you will be invited into these things, or if you're applying for them, quite often one of the questions is, are you a published author, or what's the name of your book? And to be able to fill in that spot is really important. Looking at the differences of doing a solo book versus doing your own or doing an anthology, a couple of the different things that really differentiate them. For one, of course, the time required. When you look at doing a solo book, we are often looking at doing a year, possibly more, depending on what subjects you're working on, what details you're going into, whether it's a memoir, whether it's a how-to. It can range a lot, but the time required is definitely significant. When we look at doing a multi-author book where you're only writing one chapter, that greatly reduces the time required down to that one chapter, 4 to 5 pages. It's a much easier approach. And of course, the investment involved is another big part. With doing a solo book, where you'll be looking after your own planning, organizing, you'll have to be paying for proper editing. Editing is a very important part, so definitely it's not something that you want to look on pinching pennies around. Having somebody helping you with formatting and just getting it published and out there, and the marketing part behind it as well. From what I've been hearing around the industry right now, you're looking probably $20,000 at a minimum, possibly up to $50,000, depending on the book that you're working on. And so with a lot of multi-author books and compilation books, that you will then, with the ones that I'm doing right now, generate about $2,000, gets you in and gets all of your marketing and publishing and everything looked after. And with the volume of content, again, that goes back to the time required as well. With a full book, solo book that you're working on yourself, you really want to make sure that you've got a lot of content so that you're really offering something that gives people a lot of value in what they've created and what they're gaining from reading your book. So the amount of content you have to create for a solo book is significantly more than it would be if you're writing one chapter. And I often see this as part of the stage of your business as well. If you're relatively new in business, then doing a multi-author book where you can keep it quite short and brief is definitely very helpful. It often takes you years of experience in your field to really have enough content to really build out a solo book that has that value and impact. And one of the things too with your books, it's a great way to build visibility in what you're doing. And here's just some examples of the books that I have done so far. And right away from looking at these titles and covers, you immediately get a feel for the kind of content that I create. And so, depending on what you do, if you're more of a business coach, if you're more into health, then really the themes of your books, the covers you create, can really build that visibility and that clarity around who you are and what you do. And so if you're ready to get started in being an author, then there's many different ways you can do this. And really stepping into becoming a best-selling author, again, amplifying your impact and your influence, expanding your international network, creating that ripple effect of what you're doing with your work, and just being able to write one chapter and accomplish all of this is an amazing way to step into that whole publishing world. And so I would love to have you connect with me. We can jump on a one-on-one call. We can discover more about what your goals are as an author, what might be the best fit for you, if I can connect you with other resources that you need, or if it looks like a good fit that you'd love to jump into one of the compilation books that I do. Always have several different themes on the go. And so it would be great to just jump on a call, discuss those things, and I can really steer you in the right direction. What we're building on going forward as well is the Author Impact Collab program. And that's a program for those of us that actually will be for people that are already published authors, as well as those that are working on their book. And what we'll be doing together is doing those things that help you build visibility and really gain that impact and that value of being a published author. We'll be working on things like your YouTube channel, social media, email campaigns. Like, how do you really build visibility as an author that can now help you build your business and amplify everything that you're doing? So thank you very much for listening in on all of this. Thank you.